Hello, friends, and good evening. This is Flashpoint Radio, and I am your host, Jay-Z. It is September 11th, 2012. 11 years since that day in 2001 when I personally, and I'm sure many of you did, watch live on television as two gigantic landmarks in New York City came tumbling down, and the Pentagon was found to be on fire, and another wreckage in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. I contemplated doing a special today touching on the 9/11 tragedies, and well, I have to. The slogan is, the bumper sticker is, never forget. We will never forget. Well, that is true. We will never forget. And hopefully, after you watch this, after you do your own research, and those of you that have already done that research, you will say, we will never forget, and we will never stop asking for the truth. I thought I'd just go over 2 points that some of you who may not have looked into this yet have not touched upon. That is namely Osama bin Laden and World Trade Center Building 7. Oh yeah, I said 2 buildings fell in New York City that day. In actuality, 3 buildings fell. The 3 tallest structures at World Trade Center Plaza, only 2 of which were hit by an airplane. I like to think of this situation and the 9/11 conspiracy and the official government story as a connect-the-dot picture. There's a lot of evidence. Some people are looking at it, some people aren't. But what do you get after you connect those dots? This is what you get before you connect the dots. A seemingly random selection of dots that make up nothing to the untrained naked eye. But after you put together all of the connections, what do you find? First, though, we will touch on the life of Usama bin Laden, the supposed mastermind behind 9/11. This comes to us from September 16th, 2001, CNN. Bin Laden says he wasn't behind attacks. He was quoted on Al Jazeera days after 9/11 that, quote, "I would like to assure the world that I did not plan the recent attacks, which seems to have been planned by people for personal reasons. I have been living in the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and following its leader's rules. The current leader does not allow me to exercise such operations." Funny, most of the time when a terrorist organization carries out a terrorist action, they're quick to claim responsibility in order to get their name out there. Well, it turns out bin Laden said, "I did not do it. I was not involved." That was in September of 2001. We jump to December 26th of 2001. From FoxNews.com, report, bin Laden already dead. Usama bin Laden has died a peaceful death due to an untreated lung complication, the Pakistan Observer reported, citing a Taliban leader who allegedly attended the funeral of the Al-Qaeda leader. Well, you say this is an unnamed source that is quoted in this story, and it could have been anyone, and it could be false. That is completely true. But if it was reported that the leader of Al-Qaeda and terrorist mastermind died, and it wasn't true, do you not think that Al-Qaeda themselves would deny that? They would say he is alive and well. Well, he never did, of course, until his videos surfaced sometime after. But we will jump ahead even further, this time to October 30th, 2004. And one of those videos that surfaced after the reports of Usama bin Laden's death, this time from Fox News as well, bin Laden claims responsibility for 9/11. Usama bin Laden made his first televised appearance in more than a year Friday, in which he admitted for the first time ordering the September 11th attacks and accusing President Bush of misleading the American people. This came less than 2 weeks before the election in 2004. How convenient. And the best part about this article and his quotes is this. Quote, "To the American people, my talk to you is about the best way to avoid another Manhattan," he said. "I tell you, security is an important element of human life. and free people do not give up their security. Sounds like the exact same narrative coming from our government, that you must give up your security in order to get freedom. In order to be free, we must give up our freedoms. Very strange for the man to say that. And I remind everyone, when you look at the culprits or supposed culprits behind 9/11, it is not Usama bin Laden. It is not any member of Al-Qaeda or the Taliban that signed the Patriot Act, or signed the NDAA, or allows for warrantless wiretapping, or signs the secret drone kill list in order to kill American civilians. It is not Al-Qaeda that is at our airports, groping you, fondling your wife, humiliating you in front of a massive crowd. No, it is our government. Our government, private security corporations, were the ones that gained on September 11th, 2001. There are many others that gained, and there are many other theories, and I don't claim to know the truth. One thing I do know is that there are still unanswered questions. And one of those questions is what happened to Building 7, the building you probably do not know anything about. Watch this 2-minute video, and you may find out a little more.
This is an orange. If you were told it was something else, you wouldn't believe it, would you? This is called visual identification based on experience. This building is about to be destroyed in what is called a controlled demolition. Buildings do not do this spontaneously. Here is another example of a controlled demolition. The initial charges are spaced about 1 second apart, and you can see that each section begins falling separately. Successful demolitions require that all structural support columns collapse at virtually the same time. If they don't, or if something else goes wrong, the result will look something like this. This is World Trade Center 7 just before it collapsed on September the 11th, 2001. It had not been hit by an aircraft. It had been damaged by falling debris and fire. But by 5:20 p.m. most of the fires had been extinguished. Although the building was 47 stories high, it doesn't fall sideways, nor collapse unevenly. For this to have happened, all of the building's vertical supports must have given way at almost exactly the same time. Yet the Federal Emergency Management Agency reported that the collapse was due primarily to fire. But what does it look like to you? As at July 2007, there is no final report on the collapse of World Trade Center 7, but the National Institute of Standards and Technology still rules out a controlled demolition. So the question is, do you believe what you can see with your own eyes, or do you believe what you are told?
Yes, that looked entirely too close to a controlled demolition. But I bet you never heard of that. And I bet you didn't know that CNN reported that Building 7 collapsed 1 hour before it actually did, as well as BBC News 26 minutes before. The building is actually seen in the background of the BBC broadcast that states World Trade Center 7 has collapsed. Do your research. If you don't think your government is capable of pulling this off, or is evil enough to think of a plan like this, or you don't think that this was an inside job, then you haven't looked at all. And I tell you, what is more dishonoring to those that died on September 11th and have died since September 11th fighting under this flag than asking for the truth? Do I dishonor the dead by demanding answers? Or do you let the dead scream in silence by not asking the questions? We have to get over this divide. We have to be able to ask these questions. We have to be open about our thoughts and our beliefs. We cannot be scared to expose the corruption in this country and in this world. It is deep and it is evil, but until we recognize it, we will never overcome it. Now, there is some good news concerning 9/11. A local PBS channel in Colorado just aired and is still available online a 9/11 documentary questioning the official story, produced by Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. This article from Infowars.com, new 9/11 Truth documentary among most watched on PBS this week. We are out there. There are others out there that don't believe the official story. Don't be afraid to say you don't either. Watch that documentary. Link below in the description. And question everything your government tells you. And never, ever let the government tell you that 2 + 2 = 5. And I almost forgot. Our connect the dot picture. Well, when you look at all of the unanswered questions, the smoking guns, the fact that terrorists were trained at U.S. Army bases, that many of them were gotten into the country by our FBI and by the State Department, that Usama bin Laden's name was Tim Osman when he worked for the CIA in the 1980s. When you look at all of these questions, you start to see a different picture. A different picture indeed. Give me just a minute, and I'll show you what the dots connect to show. Wow, I guess I've never connected the dots. It's not what I thought. This says official story, does it not? I don't know, though. I may just be a conspiracy theorist. But when you connect the dots, you see that clearly it was an inside job. Thank you for watching Flashpoint Radio. Jay-Z signing off saying, God bless, keep your eyes to the sky, and never stop asking questions. It's your duty, and it is your right.
It's a brilliant Roman candle, separates the day from the night. It's that clean